Okay. Oh, I can hear myself. And there's reverb. Okay. Or not reverb, feedback. All right. It was from the wrong computer. Okay. Hello, everybody. We are doing VFX stuff today, as usual on Thursdays, and specifically today we are going to be playing around in a couple of different softwares. One of which is called GeoGen, and is what I have loaded up here right now. Oh, that's right. They changed the way that the settings work. GeoGen, last week we played around with one called EmberGen, which is kind of like this, but for this one, it's for making mountains. Oh, that's okay. That's right, because I have it set to Blender. If we go back to default, nope, still. That's awful. None of these are good. All right, well, we're just going to stick with Blender then, because that's something that I'm used to. So this is their preset project. I actually didn't do anything in here, but we're gonna just play around with it, because you can make some cool stuff in this. And then I think at some point we're gonna bring it into, into Blender, and we'll play with it in there. So I'm gonna start by just getting rid of everything, and we start off with this nothingness right here. Bro is making worlds. I am making worlds, Morgan. You are absolutely correct. So I'm also going to turn the volume of my mic up here a little bit, because it's a little bit quiet. Okay, so the really fun thing about this is that you use like 2D textures and mapping to create something, to create worlds. So we're just going to start off with something super basic. We're going to start off with a base, which is just this super basic height map here. So nothing super impressive. And then that just gets sent into a renderer, which is what does all of the light and all of that fun stuff. So, man, there are so many places, so many different ways that you can mess with this stuff, because you have these presets, this shape down here, and it starts off with the default, which is mountain ridge, but you can go crazy. First of all, I mean, just hello, like it just does that. People are all like, "Oh, you need AI to do all of these cool things." No, you don't. You just need to not be stupid. There are like a million programs that can do this kind of cool stuff. Okay, so there's just this normal base. There's mountain ridge. There's undulations, which is really cool if you want to do like a seafloor, I guess. Island, which looks kind of ridiculous at first, because it just goes up to this stupid ass pinpoint here. Ooh. Hello. And then crevice, which is really fun and cool to play around with, and then cliff. And I think I want to mess around with cliff today. You know, the big red dog. So here's our starting point. And we'll add in some octaves just to see what that does. And it adds some like terracing, and it's just so cool what it can do. And you can mess with, I always feel whenever I do these like VFX things that I'm making like a commercial for Jenga effects, because I can't stop talking about how absolutely cool this stuff is. And it's just so cool. There's one called chaos intensity, which is kind of how I live my life, honestly, adjusting the chaos intensity. And chaos scale. Whoa! Okay, we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. I want to get rid of this like ugly flat stuff up here, though. How can I do that? Whoa, you could just add more detail. This is so cool. Oh, if I just bring the... Whoa. If I bring the width down, but then we lose... Can I mess with this? Maybe if I mess with this. No, that doesn't do it either. Oh, that makes it worse. Hello? Oh, I see. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, but that gets rid of the cliff element of it. What I'm trying to do is just get rid of the flat things up there. I don't like the flat things. And the octaves doesn't do it. That doesn't do it. That doesn't do it. I'm just going to play with settings. Ooh, okay, that's interesting, but that doesn't do it. Nor does that. The chaos intensity is what's causing it, but the problem is I still have it up here at the very top. Let's go see what else I can do. Ooh, I can make it look awful. Yay. No, I don't want to do that, obviously. That is really... Oh, but I can add way more detail in here. Okay, that's good to know. So I'm going to keep that kind of high. Or do I? Whoa! I almost fell onto rocks like that once to take a photo. It was not my smartest moment, but the photo was really good. Like, really good. Okay. Relative height, no. Scale, no. Position, no. How do I get rid of that, then? Oh, God. That's very strange. I guess I'm just going to have to bring the octaves down here. And then I'll bring this a little forward because I do want more of that stuff up there. But then there's got to be a way somewhere in here to just bring down, like, make that flat stuff. Oh, you know what I can probably do? Okay, so here's one of the really cool things about this is that you can mix and match stuff. So not only can I take warp and I can add like a noise warp here, and I can mess with this, which you can see there. But I can also mix height maps. So I'll take height modifier. Ooh, these are new. But I'm going to take height map blend, and I'm going to just grab another base, and we'll click into this to see what we've got. And I want like more in this one, more like rocky. Yeah, kind of more like that stuff, like smaller stuff, smaller, noisier stuff. In fact, I think I can even bring the scale down more. And then we can blend these two height maps together. So right now, if we look at the height map blend, all we have is just our original one. But if we blend them together, now this stuff up here at the top, we're starting to get at least some detail. The thing I do want to fix, though, is how unbelievably extreme the jump up is. So I want to go look back at our original one here. And in our main stuff, we have the relative height, we have our warp amplitude, our offset. I feel like it's got to be somewhere in the shape remap. But it's not. Maybe if I just adjust the curve of it. I do love me some curves. That looks a little bit better. I'm still not crazy about it, but it is looking a little bit better. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I'm also going to save this because I am famous for losing data. Whoopsie daisies. We're just going to put it on our desktop, and we're going to call it streaming. Woohoo. Okay, so isn't that fun? So I'm going to send this height map now into the actual render height map so that we can see it. And would you look at that? It has a color now, which is strange. I don't remember giving it a color, but that's fine. So we're going to give it a different color. The getting to the coloration stuff is absolutely bonkers, but I want to give it like a kind of a light gray. And you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm also going to send a link to this to some other people because I want more viewers because I'm greedy. And I think that would be fun. So let's try to get some people to come watch. And while we're at it, if anyone has any fun requests for things for me to do, by God, let me know, because I like pleasing an audience. That's like my my favorite thing. That's why I went into film. All right. Well, that's all the people I can think of right there. Okay. So we have this kind of basic color and these cliffs that go up. Purple mountain. Okay, well, I'm not going to make a purple mountain because I'm not insane. You'll notice that there's like not a lot of detail here. One of the really nice things about this is that it lets you work in... Yeah, boo me all you want. It lets you work in this kind of low res so that it loads faster, and then you can just like up the detail an insane amount. You can't get like super detailed like you could in Gaia or something like probably even Houdini or Blender, to be fair. But you can get pretty detailed. So I wouldn't use this for like really hardcore stuff, like close up, but for like quick background assets, it's perfect. Because you don't need them to be. The one thing I wish that they could do is like have a way for the right side and the left side to blend together, so you can like array map it in Blender. I think that would be so unbelievably helpful. But alas, they haven't. They either haven't figured that out yet, or they just haven't released it, and they're working on it now. This is a relatively new software. It's in its beta, which you can see up here. Okay, so we're starting to get our kind of main feel here. And I want to start coloring it a little bit, because a lot of people, they'll go 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, but I like to do all of the steps kind of at the same time. I do want to add just like a little bit more detail to this base up here. So I'll add another warp, and you can do a lot, but we're going to just grab warp flow. That is new. Oh. And it's going to take a while to process. What does it do, though? Whoa. Okay, I'm going to need to play around with that another time, because I don't actually know what that's doing. So we're just going to grab a warp noise. Yeah, see, that's giving us more detail there. I don't even think I need to do anything to it. I think just right there on its own, we're getting like a slightly better, more realistic look. I don't know what that one little divot there is. I'm not crazy about it. Okay, so we're starting to get something here, and I want to start coloring it, because part of what I want to do to this actually is I want to put some water in, because you can just do that in this. You can just activate the water, but I don't want it this high up. I think I want it to like, yeah, something like that is good right there. So I don't know if you can mask with water. Mask source, mask. All of the masks in this are insane. How much you can do. Mask modifier, mask edge detect. I mean, it's quite something. But I used to think that there was a water thing. But apparently oh, here we go. Filter water. I'm an idiot. Okay, cool. So I think that we can send the water into, no, here we go. The water into a color mask. Can we not? Or do we have to, oh, we have to send the height map into it. No, that's still not what I want. I wonder if it's not aware of the actual water that's in the scene. Filter water, filter. Yeah, I don't think it presents a height map terrace filter. There's so much in this that I don't know. Oh, wait, we're getting somewhere. Okay. So if I turn the water off and raise it up, there we go. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now this is epic. Okay. So this is letting us, so this is a shore mask versus a sand mask. Okay. So one of the really cool things with this is you can just send like colors into colors into colors, and you can make some really cool stuff. So I'm going to grab a couple new colors. I'm going to take just a new color, say colorize, and we're going to make this kind of a sandy color, which would be like a kind of a dull yellow, kind of like that. We're just going to go with that. That's not a great one. And then we can send the mask into that. No? Do we have to send the mask into that? We have to go the other way around. That's the confusing part, is the main color has to be the last thing that goes in. So we'll send this into our color, and then we'll send the shore mask into this. And then the sand mask is going to do... Interesting. What's the difference between the shore mask and the sand mask? Okay, shore intensity mask, sand amount mask. Now that I actually don't understand, but that's okay. So I think I'm going to use the shore mask. I just like the way that looks better. And this, of course, is not really a sand color, but I am not great when it comes to picking colors, so we're just going to go with kind of a dull thing there. And I want to turn the water back on just to see more of what this looks like. It's not great. But to be fair, I'm not great at this kind of stuff. The close-up of the water is really cool and really detailed, and it's really funny because Jenga Effects also makes a water, like a fluid, a liquid generation software, and it does not look anywhere near as good as this water here. But I guess that's because it's just like a solid mesh. What are you gonna do? You can turn on caustics in this? Oh man, it is not gonna like that. Whoa. There's so much I'm still learning here. I wish, though, I could do like an under-the-water mask for everything below it, but what happens? What does this height map look like? Oh! Okay, I see. So this also generates a new height map. So if we send that in here, that looks so much better! I'm figuring things out, gang. Yippee-doo. Yeah, that looks way more like a shore. And then I'm curious now what happens if we put the sand in instead. Still prefer the shore one. Okay, cool. So the next thing we get to do is to make it just look a lot more natural. So we use just a bunch of different filters in here. So we have the mask modifiers, the mask sources, and the filters. So I love the erosion ones, the fluvial erosion and thermal erosion. I think that they look just so good. We're going to start with thermal erosion. We'll drag the height map in, and we'll just see what it looks like. Nope, maybe thermal erosion is not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of fluvial? I don't even know what that is, man. Yeah. See, that looks really cool. We get this much more detail. Now, of course, this is a little bit too much because we're losing just so much of this detail. So I think that I'm just going to bring the power of it down. And just in the meantime, I'm going to turn off the water because the water tends to make everything just load so much slower. It's interesting that we get so few viewers on YouTube. So we have way more followers on YouTube than on Twitch. But, yeah, what do I know? Let's see. If I bring the iterations down, yeah, then we start to get a little bit lower. Okay, so we'll do like a low iteration count. I think that's what we need here. And I assume we don't want high quality erosion because that's just going to make everything slower. Okay. Man, this is some cool stuff. So we'll send this height map in, and we're also going to send this height map into a different color, but we'll get there in a second. God, I'm losing so much space on this. But we're going to first take a look at some of our other erosions and masks. So let's go filters, filter water, filter crease, filter crumbling, filter snow, filter sediment. Thermal erosion, which we don't want. So let's try filter sediment, and let's just see what we get. So the output of this... Oh, it's like sediment deposits. Not crazy about it. This is something I love about VFX, is just getting to play around. You just get to have fun. You just get to be like, yeah, this looks fun. And then you do it. And man, if that isn't the dream. Ridge and bulge filter. I just want to see what this does. Ew! I don't like that. That looks like cow patties. Gross, dude. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and then we get into these ones. So we have mask fluvial, but we already did that. Propagation, delta, mask shadows, mask slope. So mask occlusion and mask cavity are very powerful. So let's grab a mask occlusion node and see what we get here. So we get that stuff, and then let's also pull out a mask cavity. And that gives us this. They do kind of look like inverses of each other, but they're not quite. Okay, so now we get into the coloring of stuff. So we're going to look back at our viewport. So let's look first at our fluvial erosion. So we have these kind of sediment deposit mask and this humidity mask. And you can see there are like little parts of it that are starting to turn a little bit whiter. So actually, before I mess with this, I'm going to go back to our original one, and I'm going to change it from single color to color gradient. And I'm just going to grab a mountain-looking one, like that. And then for our gradient mask, we're just going to grab a height map, or a mask height, rather. And we're going to take this up. Why it's not working, I don't know. Oh, because I always forget to do this because I need to send a height map in. Height map in. There we go. And now we can decide where our bottom and top is. So we're just going to bring that up until right there. And now our main output, we get kind of a range of color here, which looks way nicer, way more natural. So you see little bits down at the bottom have this kind of lighter color, and little bits up here have this darker color, and we get like these little changes here. And just for the fun of it, let's take a look at what this looks like at a much higher resolution. Give it a second to load, if you wouldn't mind. It takes a while to process, and I unfortunately right now do not have great VRAM. Soon, hopefully, but not right now. %, 82%. Jesus Christ, this takes forever. Once we get to the end, though, I can show you all of the really cool water effects and atmosphere effects that you get to do for final processing. And then we will try to bring it over to Blender to do some animation and like fun effects. Oops. My poor microphone setup does not work very well at all. It's almost there, 96%. Oh, let's go. In the meantime, I'm going to chug some caffeine. All right. There's our color map without the displacement yet. And there's our displacement. So you can see just way more detail. It looks honestly really, really great until you get really close and you can see that a lot of this is really quite smooth. All right, so let's go back to what we were at. I think it was 0.5 meters per pixel. And then it says that I'm at ultra for rendering quality. Let's go down to low because I really don't need ultra high quality right now. Okay, we were actually at 1 meter per pixel. Okay. So here we have this, and then we have our two other masks. We have our mask cavity and our mask occlusion, and we have our fluvial erosion. So let's start with the mask cavity, I think. So we're gonna make a new color. Ooh, that's new too. We'll just do, I guess, colorize, and send this into that new color. And of course, it starts off as this disgusting orange, but we're going to send the mask cavity into the mask here, and you'll see what it starts to do there, as it starts to just pull some colors out. And I'm wondering now, actually, if instead of using a colorize node, we can use something like a color adjust node. We can. Okay, so that's really helpful. So what I'm going to use instead is I'm going to drag the mask cavity into this, and I'm going to just adjust the value a little bit. And you'll see what it's doing is it's just raising the brightness of wherever this is selected, or I can bring it back down. And I think, oh, this is tough. Which one do I prefer the look of? Brighter or darker here? I think I'm going to go darken it a little bit, but bring the saturation up a little bit. Yeah, I like that. That's actually really helpful to know. I can't believe I didn't know that. And then we're going to do, let's take a look at our mask occlusion here. We're going to do another color adjust. Send this into the output here. Send the mask occlusion into the mask. like that. And then, what do we want to do with this one? What happens if we adjust the hue? Or if we adjust the value? Bring it down again, I think. I like darkening the tones. I always think that looks really nice. Yeah, I like that. So here's before, and here's after. It's very subtle, but I enjoy it. Okay, and then, and gentlemen, and then, we have our fluvial erosion, which is very subtle. Because of how subtle it is, I think I'm actually going to use a proper color here instead of a color adjust. So we're going to toss in a new colorize, and we'll look at the output here. And of course, it's this disgusting bright orange, but we're going to send the humidity in to our mask. And honestly, I don't hate it being the gross orange. So here's before, and here's after. And it's just in these very subtle places that it kind of raises that orange tone. I don't terribly mind that. Let's see what happens if we use sediment. Okay, that's awful. But yeah, I don't entirely mind that. Pippin reference. Yes, I did. I did make a Pippin reference. Morgan, you are correct. Congratulations. It's almost like you were in that show at one point. Okay. So it's looking pretty good so far. Here's what we got. There's our shore, and let's turn the water back on. Nice, right? It's a nice little like cliffside beach here. It's really cool so far. I'm still learning how to add like proper greenery, because I wish that I could add some like good greenery up here, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. I'm not that good at it. And this is also, again, this is a very new program that I am still very much figuring out. But there's so much that you can do. You can add emissive stuff. You can add fog. You can mess with the roughness, though I'm also not very good at that. Give me just a second. Yeah, very, very fun. Okay, there we go. Cool. So, yeah, so we have this here, and just for the sake of it, I mean, let's go back to 0.25 meters per pixel. See what we can get here. Give it its fun little time. But there, I mean, incredibly detailed from, mildly far away. I think we should try bringing this into Blender. I think that would be fun. Real quick, though, I'm gonna take like a 2-minute break, and then I will be back, and then we're gonna put it into Blender. we are back. Okay, so sorry, I had to, deal with a thing. Okay, so putting it into Blender can be kind of a pain in the ass, or so I have learned. Real quick, first thing I want to do is to see if I can go actually to 0.125 meters per pixel, which will increase the increase the detail by a lot. Well, by 2, but it will take a while to load. But this will give us the best, the greatest resolution for the displacement map in Blender, because that's effectively what we're going to do. Is we're going to start with a plane, then we're going to subdivide it. We're going to add a displacement map, and the displacement map will be the height map that is coming from this program. So we're gonna give it a little bit to export. But in the meantime, we'll just add is it an export node? No, it's not. It's a different node that we need to add. But we're going to give it a second. In the meantime, 97, 91, 97.1. It's on the fluvial erosion, which doesn't surprise me, because that is, I think, the heaviest node that we have in here. It's so cool, though, working with node-based stuff. It's so much more powerful than any of the mesh-based stuff, or just, like, anything in, I don't know, After Effects or whatever. What have you. I do want to try out Gaia at some point, but it's just so much more expensive. Like, if I remember, it's, like, almost prohibitively expensive. But what are you going to do? All right, it's almost loaded. We're almost there. We're so close. So counting up so slowly. There we go. Oh, man, look at how sharp that is. Incredible. All right. So now we get to do the export. So we get to take our height map here and put it into an export height map. The other option is export model, like export a mesh, but man, it takes forever. But we're just going to put this in desktop. We'll name it, I don't know, streaming cliffs, probably. Streaming cliffs. And bam. And then we, of course, want 16-bit, and we're going to do EXR, because that's going to give us the as much data as possible. And we're just going to call it height map. I cannot spell map. There we go. Okay. What does full range do? Use the full extend of values when exporting. I guess. Yeah, right? And then we just hit export now. Now, I'm not sure how long this will take, but we'll wait around while it does. And I'm going to send this link to my dad because I want him to come join. And then the next thing that we do is we export our color map. So we go from our final color out to an export color. And then we want to change this as well to EXR. Change this to, I want to select the streaming cliffs. Perfect. And change this to color map. I don't want the space in there, though. Color map. Bro is not letting me type. For reals. Okay. And then one check the texture. Otherwise, the file is exported in linear. Okay, I guess sRGB is fine. This one is likely to take a little bit longer, but we'll try it. We're going to say export now. And we're just going to see. Exporting one item. I've tried exporting the mesh before, and it just takes forever. Okay, well, that was actually pretty fast. Okay, and now we close out of this. Bye-bye, GeoGen. And we hop into Blender. The application ever. It's going to take a little bit to load. I can't even drag it onto the other screen. Okay. There we go. Bam. Okay, so we're going to make just a new file here. We'll save it, and we'll call it Cliffs. And all of this looks good. And we're just going to start with a new plane. And we're going to scale it just so big. Like obscenely big. Perfect. And then we're going to turn up our viewport clipped end so that we can still see everything. We're going to save it. We're going to apply our scale. And then we are going to... Oh, wait, no, we don't want to apply the scale. That's right, because of the way that the displacement works. Actually, I think we don't. Okay. So we're going to add a displace modifier, which is a Andy's glasses cameo, yeah, for real, which is just like it's going to displace it based on color data. So we're going to hit new, and then we're going to go into our data here, and we're going to actually keep it as image. We're going to hit open, and we're going to hit height map.exr. And bam. Now, nothing really happened. And the reason that nothing happened is because of a couple of things. First of all, this needs to be non-color, but mainly because this isn't subdivided. So we're going to add a subdivision node, make sure that it's set to simple, and then start to up our levels. And you'll see that we start slowly to get the shape of this. And of course, this looks awful. Let's bring our mid-level to 0. It looks awful, and that is to a point because of the fact that we just need so many subdivisions. So let's subdivide it a different way. Let's go into the edit mode, and let's drag the subdivisions way up, and let's see what happens. And let's do it again, subdivide, bring it way up. And now we're slowly starting to get somewhere, but we have this weird clipping here on the edge. And that is, if I remember correctly, because of how it maps. So it has a repeat right now, but I think we just need it set to clip. Yeah, so it'll just end at the end there. Or even extend would work fine. And the other thing is, there's too much scale here. This from the bottom to the top is way more than we need it to be. So we're just going to bring the strength of our displace modifier down. And then we're going to subdivide it maybe one more time and hit shade auto smooth. No, we'll just keep it as shade smooth. And I'll subdivide it a little bit more later. But for now, this is what we've got. Then, we are going to jump into our shader editor. And this is where we're going to apply the color map. So we're just going to hit new, add an, oh no, I hit the wrong button, image texture, open, color map. And it is, if I remember correctly, in sRGB. And we're just going to send the color into the color. And at first, of course, we have nothing. But if we hop into our rendered view, we start to get something. Now, there's no lighting, but I have this handy-dandy little tool called Moving Skies, which lets me add in very fun HDRIs. So let's do... yeah, I like this one. This one's probably my favorite. And now we have an HDRI that is lighting our model here. Now, it does look very, very different from how it did originally. And I'm wondering if we put it back into linear Rec. 709, would it look better? No, it would look worse. So that could be due to a couple of things. And one of them, maybe if we up the roughness, so that's a little bit better. But the other, of course, is that the sun in this is often way too bright. So if we just bring the intensity of the sun down, we start to get more of what we're looking for. And there are a couple of other tricks that I've been recently learning. And one of them is to create another plane, scale it, or bring it up in space, scale it way up, just like our other one, until we get this kind of like starting to like block the HDRI, the sun, from hitting it. I think we need to probably bring the sun a little up to cause some shadows. Yeah, there we go. And then we go into this plane here. We add a new texture here. And in the alpha, we drag out a color ramp. No, not an RGB color. Color ramp, which a noise texture feeds into. So we'll drag actually the factor of this and then the color, or the alpha into the alpha, or the color into the alpha. Color into the alpha. And then as we bring this closer together, we get almost like a cloud covering. Like that. And what that is hopefully going to do is add some diversity onto the amount of light that is hitting this here. I actually want, I think I want more shadow like that. So the problem that I have found from bringing the textures into Blender from GeoGen is just kind of a lack of depth. And I don't know if that has to do with the subdivision, like the lack of subdivision, or with the lack of real normal data. But there isn't really any real normal data in here. And for anyone who doesn't know, normal data is what tells light how to, like in what direction a face is pointing. So unfortunately, the only real way to really get as much detail as humanly possible is to subdivide it way more than my computer can probably handle. So I'm going to put a new subdivision surface here. And I'm going to bring the levels viewport to 0 and the levels render to 3. And I'm going to bring it above our displacement texture. And then I'm just going to add a new camera. I'm going to say align view, align active camera to view. So this is what we're going to see. There's this handy little trick in here under view there, where if you lock camera to view, you can then move around and the camera will move around with you like this. If you just move around like that. That's very, very handy dandy. So I'm going to just kind of put the camera here. And with those extra subdivisions selected, and let's set them to, instead of Catmull Clark, let's just set them to simple. And let's just see what we get if we hit render. My guess is my computer is going to crash or run out of GPU memory. Shockingly, it didn't. But you can see we're still not getting a ton of detail up here. When if you remember in GeoGen, there was so much detail. I have yet to really figure out why that is. I don't know if it's a coordinates thing, if it's a mid-level thing, or if it's something in the texture settings that I'm just doing wrong. But no matter what things I click here, it just doesn't appear to really do anything that is new, that makes it better. Even if I crank the render subdivisions all the way up to 6. And you'll see now it's not even giving us like a rendering thing. It's completely stuck. If we go look at our task manager, which is barely opening right now. Yeah, there we go. Blender is using up 50 gigabytes of my memory. So something tells me that this is not going to work. Oh well, we tried. So what I'm gonna do instead is it's also using up my entire CPU and GPU. I'm gonna close out a Blender, and I'm gonna jump back into GeoGen, and I'm gonna make a couple of renders inside of GeoGen real quick, and then I think we'll call it done for today. I think we made some fun stuff. It's gonna take a little bit to render again. Or actually, you know what? I think we'll just call it here. I think that this is a good stopping point, and I think my poor computer needs a rest. But thank you everybody for tuning in, and catch Jacob on Monday doing some more Fortnite, and then me next Thursday. Or no, not next Thursday. I will be taking next Thursday off, but the Thursday after, I will be back and doing some more VFX stuff. So with that, I will see everybody later. Bye bye.